Okay, YouTube, welcome back. Today, we're going to be talking about the Mauser series of rifles, variants of which. I have a few of the most popular ones here we're going to have a look at. And this is basically a response to the recent successes I've had with the Mosin Nagant related videos. So I'm going to do, similar to the other one. We're just going to talk a little bit about the history, a few of the accessories I have, ammo, etc. And hopefully this is going to be fun. So we're going to move on. Okay, YouTube, I have here a few examples of a Mauser rifle. The one on top is a 1940 243 coated Mauser, wartime production. We're going to look at them a little bit closer. By the way, this is one of Chad's stock jobs. In case any of you have followed any of the stock refinishing videos. The bottom one is a all-milled M48 Yugo Mauser with a wide arc bolt. I'll explain more of that in a minute. It's the Yugo crest. Not bad, I guess. Tangent sights adjustable to 2,000 meters. Okay. It's got the hood on the front. The Mauser rifle is definitely one of those rifles that is, just like the Mosin, it's surrounded with so much interesting history. I mean, I could go on for like 5 freaking videos about how cool this rifle is and all that, and all the makes and manufacturers, or well, not really manufacturers, but the different countries that adopted this rifle. But I'm going to try to keep it kind of short and sweet. So to get started, Peter Paul Mauser developed his first prototype of this weapon around 1871, 1872, somewhere in that ballpark. There was various refinements made to the rifle throughout the years. They were adopted by the Argentines in the form of the 7.65 Argentine Mauser, the Argentine model 91. In 1893, the Spanish adopted the Mauser in the form of the model 1893. And with the 1893, the Spanish kicked our butts on San Juan Hill, okay? Our guys were armed with 30-40 Craig rifles and carbines. They were armed with the 45-70 trapdoor rifles, and whereby the maximum range of the Craig was equal to that of the Spanish 1893. The 1893 could be reloaded much quicker with the stripper clip, which I'm going to show you guys how to do that in a minute. And pretty much, our doughboys had their asses handed to them on San Juan Hill, I'm sorry. But, through learning from that mistake, is how we eventually adopted the model 1903 Springfield Rifle. And there was actually a bunch of stink with Mauser, over basically, us stealing the design or whatever, or, using parts of the design without first, getting their approval. The government worked that out, and, we kept the Springfield, which, in my opinion, is an excellent rifle. This rifle here is very nice. Anyhow, by about 1896 or so, several countries had developed their own versions of this rifle, or had adopted the rifle into service. Now, the rifles were still made in Germany, but then they were just stamped with the appropriate, crest or whatever, and they were adopted into whatever country, military service that they'd be adopted for. I mean, they were adopted by several different countries. I'm not going to get into all that because, and again, there's books written on this crap. So this is just kind of crash course, just simple Mauser history. Just, if nobody's ever, dabbled with these rifles, this is just important stuff to know. Well, by the time 1898 rolled around, Germany made some basic changes to the overall, well, not Germany, but hell, Paul Mauser did. Made some basic revisions to the overall design. And bear in mind that this overall rifle design had undergone different changes throughout the years anyway. But 1898 is an important year for the Mauser because that's when they adopted the Kar 98, which essentially they adopted the rifle to use a large ring receiver to handle the higher pressure of the new Spitzer 8mm round, which the round had been around a little bit beforehand, but this was the first time that they really adopted it to receive like universal widespread use and the whole pattern of rifles they were putting out after that time. So 1898 is a pretty important year for the Mauser. That's when they added the third locking lug, safety lug on the bolt. I don't know how well you can see that, but you see that third locking lug recess in the receiver? That's where the third locking lug, and this bolt right here, locks in. That gives the Mauser rifle extra amount of safety. The feeding system, the double stack integral 5-round magazine was added, which gave the rifle incredible amounts of, essentially made the rifle a lot smoother. Plus they introduced, if I'm not mistaken, correct me people if I'm wrong, if any of you know better, but I believe 1898 was when they introduced the controlled feed into the design. So controlled feed, fast loading with the stripper clips, integral 5-round double stack box magazine, traditional tangent V-notch inverted sights. Gave the rifle just a quick profile, easier to point, easier to manipulate. Now the version you see before you is often mistaken as a Kar 98, but it's actually a Kar 98K, which is a Kar 98 cut down to what they consider to be carbine length. So this is actually a second refinement on the Kar 98 design. This rifle design was accepted by the Wehrmacht in 1935, okay? So that's kind of a quick, short and sweet Mauser history. Let's have a look at some of the accessories. And I realize that this video is probably going to end up being part 1. We're going to move on, and part 2 is going to be about the accessories and the ammunition, and we're going to talk about some of the reloading components.